afraid to turn out the lights? Is there something you're scared of? What's there out in the dark? Make sure to keep all your windows locked. Do you surrender? You try to stay awake. These walls you can't escape. Here's one for the lonely hearts, for the ones that fear the dark. You better run out of here. Bet you can't look the other way. Here's one for the broken road. That's the only one you know. You better run out, truth or dare. Get me out, take me anywhere but here. Oh, anywhere but here.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, truer statements have never been said. It does not matter who the host is. Today is Wednesday, March the 30th. Wow, we're almost at the end of this thing. March the 30th of 2022, day 89th of the year, and only, yes, the only ones. Only 276 days left to go. Anyways, hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods, because that's always important. It's always important for things to be good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. We are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and of course hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, hanging out with our friends over there at Radio Big FM, so just in case. Anyway, so how did it go for you? How was everything last night? Did you do anything cool? Anything you want to be braggalicious about? Anything that you would like to talk about? Anything that you would like for everyone else on the plan to know what exactly is going on? You know, that is a possibility. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That is callinradio.com. We will share the news here on what the hell you were up to and go from there. But outside of that, more things going on inside of the world. So let's start talking because it is Wednesday. So let's talk about the charts. What are the top 5? Well, do we want to talk about the top 5 right away, or do we want to talk about trending? Let's talk about trending real quick. Trending hashtag things you should never do at work was trending on Tuesday. Tweets included edibles, constant complaining, slap your coworker, and sleep under your desk. I guess those are good and logical things to think about. Of things that you probably should not be doing at work if you want to tend to be successful, I guess, at the whole thing. That would be some important things for sure. What else? PlayStation Plus landed on Twitter's top 10 trends after Sony revealed that it's a new 3-tier subscription service. It has a new launch date, or a launch date. How could it be a new launch date if it's something they just actually talked about? It has a launch date of June. So let's see. We'll see what happens there. What else was going on? Fans reacted to the New Orleans Saints signing QB Andy Dalton to a 1-year deal worth $6 million on Tuesday. And Zoe Kravitz was trending after calling out Will Smith's assault on Chris Rock. She took to Instagram to share her disgust in writing that we are apparently assaulting people on stage now. It sounds pretty accurate. You know, it was definitely an assault it was definitely an assault on television, and I think it's still kind of funny. that the Academy is opening an investigation to take a look at what's going on. Well, I will tell you, you don't really have to open an investigation. We'll talk about this for a moment. All you have to do is ask anyone who has a DVR to watch that video and tell me what happened. I mean, I don't think that it's going to take a lot. I mean, if you're looking for a consultant to let you know what's going on, I'm sure there will be plenty out there lining up to let you know what is happening, but I don't think it's going to take a genie in a bottle to figure out what exactly had happened there. But that's just an opinion piece, as you know, because that's an easy thing to do, an opinion piece on talking about what was happening during that time frame. So there you go, some things to think about. Anyways, nobody cares about that. Let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world. Let's talk about what is going on in the top 5 fiction and nonfiction books currently on the New York Times bestsellers list. At the number 5 spot was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. At number 4 was Verity. So let's see. At number 3, It Ends With Us. At number 2, Run, Rose, Run. And at the number 1 spot, according to the New York Times bestsellers list in the fiction category, was The Match. So there you go. If you're looking at the nonfiction category, let's talk about it from that other side of the equation. At number 5 was The Splendid and the Vile. And number 4 was In Love. At number 3, Lessons from the Edge. At the number 2 spot was The Body Keeps the Score. And at the number 1 spot, according to the New York Times bestsellers list, this is what it sounds like. One damn thing after another. So there you go. That is what was trending right there. So anyways, if you're new to this whole thing that we call our show, it kind of goes in the lay of the land in this fashion. We turn around and we talk about safety, and we talk about safety in the news. We bring in some professional broadcasters for them to give their stories on what is going on out there. And I mean true professional broadcasters. So there you go. They'll tell you what is going on, and then I will come back and ball it all together. You get to interact with us, which is fantastic. I guess it's really the other way around. We get to interact with you. And then you can do call-in radio to submit anything that you have to say. Or you can actually do the socials, but kind of rough sometimes around there. But call-in radio is probably the easiest way for us to get your attention on the radio station side. So we are a radio station, safetyfm.com and radiobig.fm first, and then we kind of do all of the other aspects as well. Some people refer to it as visual radio, which I normally call that a TV show, but visual radio seems to be the popular term that's going on. So with that being said, I think that it is time to bring you the latest on what is going on inside of the world of the news, and I think we should probably go ahead and start that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. More than 10 million people in Ukraine are no longer in their home. That includes half the country's children. UN says 4 million have fled to neighboring countries since Russia invaded. The rest are displaced inside Ukraine, but many more may get a chance to escape today. Severe weather is bearing down on more than 55 million people today, with the biggest threats in the Deep South. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns.
We have that warm, humid air coming off the Gulf of Mexico. That's the fuel for the storms. And then the lift for the storms and the energy is now moving through South Texas. And those upper-level winds will push these storms right through the South during the day today.
The Storm Prediction Center says people in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama are most at risk. The center says wind gusts over 75 miles an hour and strong tornadoes could hit the Deep South. Flash flooding is also a big worry as well, with rivers remaining at fairly high levels after the last big outbreak of rain and storms. The FDA is authorizing a second COVID-19 booster shot for people ages 50 and up. Mark Mayfield with the details.
That applies to both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. They're granting emergency use authorization for a second booster as early as 4 months after the first booster. The FDA had previously okayed a second booster for individuals 12 and up who are immunocompromised.
A second ride at a Florida amusement park is shut down after a 14-year-old boy fell to his death. Officials say they demanded both rides be suspended during the investigation. It's unclear how Tyree Sampson came out of his seat last week when the harness was down and locked. The governor of Oklahoma says he will sign a bill that bans transgender girls from playing on female sports teams at Oklahoma public schools. Brian Shook reports.
Kevin Stitt's office says he plans to sign the Save Women's Sports Act in a ceremony Wednesday morning at the state capitol. A news release says he'll be joined by members of the legislature and female athletes from across the state.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Chris Jones. Russia and China have agreed to widen cooperation at a meeting of their foreign ministers. Germany has activated the first level of its gas emergency plan amid Russia's continued demands for energy bills to be paid in rubles. Hong Kong's main airline, Cathay Pacific, is preparing to fly the world's longest distance commercial passenger flight to avoid Russian airspace. And Shanghai has expanded its lockdown after an increase in COVID-19 cases.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
O.J. Simpson thinks Will Smith went too far. Trey Thomas has more.
The former football star posted a video Tuesday saying he's been asked about Smith hitting comedian Chris Rock on stage during the Oscars. Simpson called it unfortunate and said, "I think Will was wrong." The 74-year-old was famously acquitted for the murder of his ex-wife and her friend, though public opinion on the verdict has been split. I'm Trey Thomas.
It's another year of filing taxes during the COVID-19 pandemic, Lisa G. reports.
Mark Stieber, Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt, says just because you're working from home doesn't mean you can write everything off as a tax deduction.
Come along with the pandemic and you got tens of millions of people now working from home with an office, with a desk, with a printer. You're thinking, hey, home office, I have that tax deduction. That's not exactly the truth.
You have to have a home-based office to qualify for home office deductions, and that also includes side businesses like selling on Etsy.
If you have a home-based business, full-time or part-time gig, and it is a home-based business, then you do get the home office deduction, or at least you qualify for the home office deduction.
And what about purchases of PPEs like masks, gloves, and disinfectants that are COVID-related?
And those, much like any expense, copier paper, internet charges, telephone charges, would be a deductible expense for your business. And if you have a home office and a home-based business, they would be deductible there too.
Once again, you can only write off PPEs if you have a home-based business, not because you're working from home.
Today is World Bipolar Day. That day is meant to raise awareness about the mental illness and efforts to end the social stigma often associated with it. It's observed on March 30th as a nod to 19th century Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh, who was born on this date and widely believed to have suffered from bipolar disorder. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this. You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, there you go. 17 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Wednesday. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on. Interesting to see a lot of people's perspectives of still of the things that are going on out there inside of the world. For sure, as we are hanging and banging. Okay, so America's Governor Ron DeSantis announced Tuesday Florida and 19 other states are filing lawsuits against the Biden administration to end the mask mandates in airports and on airplanes. It is well past time to get rid of the unnecessary mandate and get back to normal life, he said. The current mandates will remain in effect until mid-April for now. So there you go. Some things that are going on inside of the world of the news that you may want to know. So let's start talking about some things that are going on inside of this news world of ours. Disney removing boys and girls from park greetings. Yes, Disneyland is removing the phrase boys and girls from recorded park greetings that blaze at the front gates. We got more information.
Disney is dropping so-called gendered greetings to be more welcoming to guests who don't identify with traditional gender roles. The phrase ladies and gentlemen will also no longer be heard for the same reason. Disney officials say park employees are being trained to instead greet people with hello everyone or hello friends. The recorded greetings played before fireworks shows are also being altered to remove the gendered terms. Daniel Martindale, NBC News Radio.
Hello, friends. How are you? Fantastic. I hope everything is good and moving. So what do you think about that, as that is making a change inside of the world? Good, bad, indifferent thought process. You are entitled to your own opinion about things, so that is the fantastic part about this. That is the great part that we get to talk about if you are so inclined to do so. That's the interesting thing. I mean, and I guess the world is constantly evolving, so we're able to talk about these things and say, okay, that's good, that's bad, that's indifferent. Some people are going to like that, some people are not. So it's going to be interesting to see. Anyways, we touched on the swamp a few moments ago, so let's talk a little bit more swampiness. Logs show 7-hour gap in January 6 recordings. The House January 6 committee says that the 7th hour gap from former President Trump's phone logs for the day, including the time the Capitol was being stormed. Mike Bowers has more information.
Congressman Jamie Raskin says he's not sure what happened with former President Trump's missing call logs, but
the Supreme Court has repeatedly emphasized when it comes to congressional investigations, if Congress comes calling for information that it needs for us to do our jobs, then you turn it over.
White House records turned over to the House's January 6th committee show a 7-hour, 37-minute gap in President Trump's phone logs for the day, with some of that day's phone calls listed in the log and some of those missing from the log reported previously. For example, a call between President Trump and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy during the afternoon while the Capitol was under threat from the mob. I'm Mike Bauer.
Okay, so there you go. Some information on what is going on over there. So I guess we are caught up on that side as well. Okay, let's continue talking about some other things. FDA to review the ALS drug funded by Ice Bucket Challenge. The FDA is set to vote later today on whether to approve the experimental drug for patients with ALS. You know, that Ice Bucket Challenge was for you not to do the ice bucket and actually see if the person would give the $100 towards ALS. I mean, wasn't that the main thing, but most people decided to do the bucket thing. I don't know.
The drug is made to slow the progression of the disease by preventing cells from dying prematurely. Part of the drug was paid for by funds raised during the viral 2014 Ice Bucket Challenge. Around 30,000 people in the U.S. suffer from ALS. I'm Trey Thomas.
Think about that for a moment. That means that was 2014. That seems like a lifetime ago when that actually did occur. But just some things to think about as we are talking. Anyway, some other information. 1.5 million central Iowa birds to be destroyed. Yeah, you did hear me correctly. Over half a million birds across central Iowa came to be destroyed because of avian flu. Trey Thomas has more information.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture says the contagious flu has been found in flocks of chickens and turkeys. Over 8 million birds have been destroyed in the past month because of the flu outbreak. The Iowa Department of Agriculture is still not allowing any live bird exhibits at shows or auctions to attempt to stop the spread. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, there you go. Thanks to you, Trey, for that one. Before we get too far into this, I think it's time to bring in some Johnny Smalls for him to tell us what's going on with the Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. The rebound in equities continued Tuesday with the S&P 500 moving about 0.5% to the highest level in over 6 weeks. The move was driven by another round of economic data that shows rising home prices, rising consumer confidence, and near record levels of job openings. The caveat for investors, however, is that this week's key economic reports are still due out, and the price action on Tuesday was dubious at best. On the economic front, the monthly labor data is due out this week, starting with today's release of the ADP report. The report should show another month of strong job creation, which is a two-edged sword for the economy. Improved employment is a definite benefit to the economy, but is ultimately driving wage inflation. And there is inflation data due out this week as well. The PCE price index is expected to show another acceleration in year-over-year inflation, and we will not be surprised to see it come in hotter than the analysts are expecting. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Rated R Safety Show. Sarcastic? Never.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one, letting us know exactly what is going on inside of the world of the market, because that is always important. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on here. So let's take a look at this way. Chris Rock in Boston for 6 shows this week. Chris Rock will be in Boston for 6 shows, run as a stand-up comedy actor in Wilburg Theater begins tonight. Trey Thomas reports.
Tonight's show will be the comedian's first public appearance since he was slapped in the face by actor Will Smith at the Oscars Sunday night.
Oh, wow!
Rock declined to press charges against Smith and has said very little publicly since the slap.
That was the greatest night in the history of television.
All 6 Boston shows are sold out, and some tickets are now selling for well over $1,000 on the secondary market. I'm Trey Thomas.
Oh, you know that one's going to be an interesting one because people will be waiting for the moment of, is he going to talk about it or is it going to be totally ignored? It's just kind of the way that things go from time to time. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on. Taylor Hawkins' casket flown back to the U.S. The body of the Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins is back in the U.S. Michael Kastner has more information.
Colombian authorities have been investigating the sudden and untimely death of the 50-year-old rock star. He was found dead in his Bogota hotel room Friday during the Foo Fighters South American tour. On Tuesday, his casket was seen being loaded onto the band's tour plane to bring him back home to Los Angeles. The rest of the band flew back home Saturday. Foo Fighters issued a statement saying their tour has been canceled. They want to take time to grieve. I'm Michael Kastner.
You know, that was one of the most unexpected news from over the weekend, as that did occur. I mean, I'm still looking at that and just in total shock with Hawkins dying from, unknown causes. There's been some toxicology reports that have said some things, but, at these days, you can't even really verify things until you get multiple sources, and I've only seen it through one source, so I don't want to go too far into that. Anyway, State Department reissues Ukrainian-Russian travel advisory. The U.S. says it is dangerous for Americans to travel to the Ukraine or to Russia right now. Michael Kastner has more.
The State Department has reissued its travel advisories for both countries and is warning travelers that Russian government security officials may single out and detain U.S. citizens. Americans currently in Ukraine or Russia are being urged to depart immediately. I'm Michael Kastner.
So did you have future travel plans to do that? Just a question. Anyways, Jersey City sets parade for St. Peter's Peacock. Jersey City will celebrate the historic March Madness ride of the St. Peter's Peacock with parade on Friday. Fans say that they cannot wait to honor the team.
We definitely made history. I'm proud of the boys, for real. I'm proud of our men. They put Jersey City on the map.
That's history right there.
Okay, the mayor says that the parade will take place at 2 p.m. on Friday. The event will step off from the statue of Abraham Lincoln and run straight through John F. Kennedy Boulevard. The coaches of St. Peter's basketball team will receive the key to the city and the underdog team that made the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament before falling to the UNC on Sunday. So hold on, they're getting a parade for making it into the Elite Eight. Sounds pretty elitist to me. That's for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's talk about this real quick on this going on. White House on Will Smith slap. The White House is being asked about Will Smith slapping comedian Chris Rock live at the Oscars. Take a listen.
So I don't have any official comment from the White House on the altercation. I know the president was not able to watch the Oscars, didn't see it. So I don't have anything. I don't have any official comment from him or from the White House on this.
Probably the president didn't get to watch it because it was probably way past his bedtime. Not picking, just saying, people like to go to bed early in the older states of their life. That White House communication director, Kate Bedingfield, she was asked about the slap on Tuesday by journalists with the Today's News Africa, who noted it was the biggest story right now. I mean, I don't know what they expected them to say. I mean, who knows anymore? Just interesting on what happens. Anyways, let's continue talking. Defense witness in Michigan governor kidnap trial won't testify. Two defense witnesses in the federal trial of the 4 men accused of planning to kidnap and kill Michigan governor Gretchen Whitmer will not testify. Julia Kelly is a defense attorney and was asked if the witnesses not testifying was a problem.
I have no comment.
I have no comment. That was a pretty brief little thing. Both men were to be witnesses for suspect Daniel Harris and have invoked their Fifth Amendment as they were worried that they could be charged based on their testimony. Prosecutors are expected to close their case today. This man took the Fifth Amendment and will not testify in the governor's kidnapping trial.
I can't talk about that.
So there you go. Apparently, we had a news story about essentially nothing for you to take a listen to. That's what we were there for. Let's continue talking real quick. Daughter speaks out about murdered mom. The daughter of the 51-year-old Angie Clear says that she always wanted to stay in contact with people. So when she stopped calling last week, it was unusual. Ashley Gal went to her mother's apartment on Saturday and called the police when she didn't get an answer at the door.
Trying to look under the door as much as I can and just keep knocking, and I just keep saying, well, maybe she went somewhere, maybe she's sleeping, maybe she's in her bedroom, maybe she can't hear me.
She says that they had to tell her a few times that Clear had been found dead and with her throat slit. One of the closest friends is in jail and could be charged today. Ashley Gow, she believes that if the police told her, she couldn't believe that she was told by the police that her mom was dead.
And he said, honey, your mom's she's deceased. And I said, huh? Because at first, it didn't click. I'm like, what? What'd you say to me, And he said, honey, your mom's no longer with us. She's with the angel.
So a lot of stuff going on in that one. I am sure that one will continue for us to talk about as things go on. Hopefully things will improve. No one ever knows what to say after something along those lines. Anyways, it is, 30 minutes past the top of the hour. So I think it is time to do that thing that we call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's talk about it 30 minutes after. As you know, we do that thing. We talk about stuff. And sometimes we have to sit back and come to realizations of things that maybe we don't want to hear, or maybe even sometimes some things that we don't want to know. So in giving a lot of thought to this one, and if you did pay close attention to titling, because when I always talk about this title thing, I know people are like, why do you mention this so often? Well, if you're listening on the radio station, it will show you the title if you're listening to it on the app. If you are on the podcast, you will see the actual title as well. And if you're on the streaming service, you can see it on the app as well, or you can see it on the streamer for the most part. But here's the thing. If you are taking a listen to this, you might have noticed or not noticed that today's little title is called Reality is Information. And some people are going to go, okay, that sounds a little new age gizmo wismo type of stuff. And maybe that's not really what I was looking for when it comes to that. Maybe it was more of the conversation of thinking about some of the things on how this actually works. And bear with me, because I'm going to probably go into some things that you already know, or some things that you might not really think about it in this simple format. When it comes to reality, our reality is based on the information that we acquire. Think about this real quick. Incident investigations or accident investigations are done in that format. You normally base that reality based off of the information that you have, and that's how you move forward. The way that people are prosecuted is based on the information that you have. Think about this. We'll even push it onto a different and weird angle. You are hired in new positions based on information that you have. And you go, what? Yes, think about this. Here's how it works. You give them a piece of marketing material known as your resume. They determine if your resume meets the actual qualifications they're looking for. They either email you or give you a phone call to let you know that you're hired. And guess what just has happened right now? Voila. Life has moved on and you are hired based on information that was provided to you. See how reality is information? That reality occurred because that information did happen. Now, you might sit back and go, well, I think that might have been the most simplest terms that you've ever put anything into. Well, that could be a possibility as well. But that is what happens. When we are constantly talking, we are constantly moving, we are constantly doing stuff, you have to realize that we are generating and creating our own reality based on the information that we are perceiving. Right now, depending on how you're taking a view or a listen to this, you could have headphones on. So you are taking a listen to what I have to say. So our reality is kind of in sync. I'm talking, you're listening, and sometimes you talk and I listen, and that's how it's coming about. So you're taking some thought process into what I am communicating with you at this particular moment in time, creating an alternate reality of what I am saying and what you are thinking. See how that became extremely simple? Now, here's the fun part. As amazing as some of those realities become, it is difficult sometimes when we do some things inside of our workplaces because based on the information that we provide our management, our team leaders, that information, if it's skewed, it could change the perception or the reality of the person that's getting the data. Think about this for a moment. And the weird thing about the whole thing is that how reality plays in such a huge factor into this and how information plays such a giant form into it. Because think about how pissed off people get based on information. Think about how upset people get based on information and how it's perceived and interpreted. But sometimes people think that you have to be very talented on actually disseminating information, and you have to be a fully functioning person to be able to do so. Now, here's the fun part. As we spoke last week, we were talking about Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Well, today we're going to go into a little bit more information about Beethoven, so don't worry, we're not going to go too far away from things. But you are aware, or you might not be aware, that Beethoven had composed a lot of things before he started losing his hearing. And at some point, he became fully deaf. And the interesting part about the whole thing is you take a listen or take a skewed view at some of the stuff that he has done. He was able to still compose symphonies based on information that he had acquired. Now, if you take a listen real quick, this is the fifth symphony that he put together. Now, the great part about this is public domain, so I won't get too and hopefully won't get in any kind of trouble for this, but this is what it sounded like. So if you start thinking about this for a moment, imagine that. He took information on the reality that he had and not a lot of information later on when he was writing some of these things because he was losing his hearing and was still able to do it to this glamorous effect. So when you start thinking about this, reality is information, and it kind of makes you question some things. If he couldn't hear that well, how could he compose such a beautiful thing? I mean, it's one of those things that if reality is information, and I'm not off my rocker in talking about this, how come we have such a hard time sometimes disseminating what reality is? Maybe it's the information that around you that's the important part that you need to take a look into. Something to think about today, that's for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
It's a new year, but it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. That's where LinkedIn Job comes in. They make it easier to find people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of the most qualified people. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering qualified hires versus leading competitors. I have to tell you that we have used LinkedIn Jobs to even find some of the people that we have here at Safety FM. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free on linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to tell them that you heard it right here on Safety FM.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Had no idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Walking into the fire, talking like you never die, like you're immortal. You try to stay awake, these walls you can't escape. Here's one for the lonely hearts, for the ones that fear the dark. You better run out of here. Bet you can't look the other way. Here's one for the broken road. That's the only one you know. You better run out, truth or dare. Get me out, take me anywhere but here. Here's one for the lonely.
Oh, one for the lonely hearts. This is Anywhere But Here.
Run out of here.
This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes.
Here's one for the broken road. That's the only one you know. You better run out, truth or dare. Get me out, take me.
This actually is being performed by Easton.
Anywhere but here.
So Anywhere But Here.
Anywhere but here.
So there you go. Some fun times this morning on the Rated R Safety Show. Thanks to Easton for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. That is for sure, as we are hanging out on this lovely Wednesday, doing the things that we get to do. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will tell you at any point in my lifetime. Let me tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience from people in your local community who have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is call 1-800-273-8255. That is 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741, or you can go to their website at afsp.org. That is afsp.org to find out more information to do the things that you get to do right there. That is for sure. So that's what's going on there. You never know when you're going to need any of this information. I always like to tell people this because it's so important and crucial to what we get to do day in and day out. Seriously, you don't even know on who you might be able to help by knowing some of this information. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of here, and talking about some of the things that are going on inside of the world. Train the brain is portion of what we need to talk about. Exercise, either you love it or you need to hear this. A new study on brain's signaling networks indicates that it's possible for you to learn to enjoy a trip to the gym. The study, published in the Journal of of Medicine and Science in Sports Exercise, says that if you can stick with an exercise routine through a few initial unpleasant weeks, you'll eventually learn to love working out. Thanks to the long-term adaptation on how your brain processes mood-altering chemicals. Finnish researchers found that in a study of 64 volunteers that not only does your body adapt to the new exercise routine, so does your brain. Although it's with one caveat, the scientists also admitted there's a huge variation between individuals and these responses, and not all people find exercise pleasant or rewarding. Although just like smashing your forehead on a wall, we can all agree that it feels good when you stop. So how long does it take to start enjoying exercise? Apparently longer than I've even been able to keep a New Year's resolution. So something to think about. But seriously, if you don't like going to the gym for a few times and taking a look around might be a crucial portion there, but actually going with people that you enjoy spending time with could be a crucial portion to how you actually do that. We're trying to go to the gym during a time frame that you know that there won't be a lot of people. Maybe that's something that you want to do because you don't want people looking at you as you're doing it, and that's perfectly fine. And I mean, I will tell you, I have been to several gyms throughout my lifetime, and there's even some gyms out there that, depending on what you have going on, well, I don't know if we should call them gyms. I think they're known more as like fitness centers. They serve bagels and pizza, and they say that they don't judge you for that.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. There's that info. Let's continue talking about some other things real quick. Commercial office space vacancy rates climbing post-COVID. Office vacancy rates are climbing in major markets across the country with signs of problem loans. Mike Bowers has more information.
Barclays analysts said last week that the share of problem mortgages on office buildings, meaning missed payments or other signs of trouble, is over 21%, the highest since the financial crisis. Meanwhile, they add office vacancy rates nationwide have risen from 9.7% to 12.2% over the past 2 years. But those numbers likely overstate how much of that office space is actually being used. Data from Castle Systems measuring foot traffic into offices shows vacancies of 60% in major markets. All this while most consultants believe that most office workers will never again spend 5-day, 40-hour weeks in physical buildings. I'm Mike Bauer.
Well, I have to tell you, it's kind of interesting when people start talking about this, because if you start taking a look around, you can almost get office space as, I guess, at rock bottom prices, at least when I was looking at some of the other areas that we were taking a look to for studio purposes. And I was just amazed on how inexpensive some of the areas were and what all they would be willing to include if you would be willing to sign Well, I guess to an extent, a short-term lease. They just wanted to get your ass in there if they could do that. So there you go. Anyways, to continue talking, NASA astronaut, Russian cosmonaut returned to Earth. NASA astronaut Mark, let's see if we can butcher this, Vandahai is back on Earth after a record-breaking 355 days in space. He and two Russian cosmonauts left the International Space Station aboard a Russian Soyuz spacecraft overnight and made a parachute-assisted landing in Kazakhstan.
Russian Mi-8 helicopters have continued the process of landing in the neighborhood of the spacecraft. Other support personnel in all-terrain vehicles are moving up to the spacecraft to begin erecting an inflatable medical tent.
After they checked on Vandahai, we'll head back to Texas, and the two cosmonauts will return to their training base in Russia. So good to see that they were able to make it back. And everything that was going on, and everything was fine. Anyways, let's talk a little bit more. There is a law about presidential record keeping. An over 7-hour gap in president records from the White House on the day of the Capitol riot, raising questions about presidential record keeping. Here's some more information about this. Here's Mike Bowers.
The Presidential Records Act was instituted in 1978. It's a law that requires the preservation of White House documents as the property of the U.S. government. It was created and passed following the Watergate scandal, back when a collection of secret tapes that President Richard Nixon was planning the destruction of played a defining role. Presidential historians say, in theory, the law demands the preservation of emails, text messages, and phone records, no matter the device used for the communication. I'm Mike Bauer.
Okay, so there you go. That's why some of these things are coming into question, as you could imagine, because that's part of the gig. You have to be able and willing to share some of that information. Anyways, let's bring in some Johnny Smalls and let him do the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Don. Zig Ziglar, author of See You at the Top, said, "Others don't realize that the real opportunity for success lies within the person and not the job. That you can best get to the top by getting to the bottom of things, and then climbing those stairs one at a time." I love this book. I read this when I was about 19 years old, and I'm pretty sure I can say it changed my life. He said in the same book, you can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. When I read that, something just clicked in my brain, and I've tried to make sure that I always give more than I expect to get ever since. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by LSMorgan.com. Sometimes we get an impression that a glass of alcohol or two at night can help us sleep better. Let's take a quick dive to see if it's really the case. The first reason alcohol is used as a sleep aid is to fall asleep faster. Unfortunately, because alcohol is a sedative and sedation is not sleep, it's only helping us to lose consciousness quicker without the benefits of actual sleep. The other problem with alcohol is that it fragments our sleep by activating the fight or flight system, which will cause us to wake up many times at night, even if we may not recall waking up later on. Alcohol also blocks REM sleep, which is crucial for a variety of cognitive functions, including learning and memory, and emotional and mental health. Lastly, consuming an average of 2 glasses of alcohol at night reduces the amount of growth hormone produced during sleep by more than 50%. For additional information on wellness, check out lsmorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show. We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 52 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging and banging on this lovely Wednesday. Criticism, there you go. Everyone likes to hear a nice compliment, but those who wants to be honest, criticism, well, surprising a lot of us Research of the American Psychology Association found that most people underestimate just how much others appreciate the desire of constructive criticism that could improve their performance. Earlier studies have concluded that that we tend to hold our tongue over fear of confrontation, rudeness, and negative outcomes. But in a series of experiments, the researchers found that not only did participants underestimate how much the other person wanted constructive feedback, but more important, other consequential than the feedback, the more likely the people would believe that the other person didn't want to hear what they had to say. Scientists concluded that even if they feel hesitant to give feedback, we recommend that you give it. Imagine if you're the other person's shoes and ask yourself if you would want feedback. Most likely you would. I guess I should say thank you for the tip, or my advice. Not worth your risk. I mean, and caution. I mean, you have to caution by some of this. This does not apply to your boss. If you get fired, make sure that you remember I said that. So you probably don't want to give feedback to your boss. There's probably just some idea to probably take a skip or a pass on that one. All my rowdy friends, let's talk about this. Over 40 dogs made a splash in Caracas at the Venezuelan capital's first canine pool party on Sunday. With pandemic restriction easing, cafes, restaurants are livelier now, and pet providers are getting in on the act too. Veterinarian Otto Alvarado, who has been operating the Pet Suites Hotel for 10 years, said that things are improving. It was the first time that dogs have had the chance to socialize as well. The hotel, which costs $13 a day for morning walk and playtime in the pool, hosted 42 pets at the Shindig. Alvarado manages the hotel of 1,200 meters or 12,900 square feet, grassy lot of staff of 6 during Venezuelan 8-year economic collapse. Many people couldn't afford to keep their pets and were forced to leave them in shelters. Now, with things looking better for the people and for their pooches, the party places the pets, and they can accommodate up to 100 dogs. It's fully booked during the holidays periods like Easter, Christmas, and another pool party is planned for April. That's all I need just for my kids at a daycare. My dog could cry when I come to pick him up. What? Just me. Okay, sorry about that. It's a rough job, but somebody's got to do it. Just like spring break, unless you puke in the pool, I guess is the way that you would have to take a look at that. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of this world of ours. No winner for Monday night's Powerball drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for $206 million, just so you know. What else do we have over here, just for the sake of doing so? Back on this date, let's see, back in 2012, Mega Millions hits a world record lottery amount of $640 million. There were 3 winners of the jackpot, one in Illinois, one in Kansas, and one from Maryland. That happened back in 2012. If you're looking for some birthdays for today, let's talk about that. Richard Sherman turns 34. Sergio Ramos, 36. Justin Moore, 38. Nora Jones, 43. Mark Consuelo's 51. Celine Dion, 54. Pierce Morgan, 57. MC Hammer, he turned 60 today. Paul Reiser, 65. Eric Clapton, 77. And Warren Beatty turns 85 today, so there's some birthdays that you can celebrate. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I got some of those for you. Manatee Appreciation Day, National Little Red Wagon Day, National Virtual Vacation Day, National Turkey Neck Soup Day, National Take a Walk in the Park Day, National Pencil Day, National I Am in Control Day, and then, of course, last but not least, but my favorite day, National Doctor Day. I think I like that one. I like it. Doctor. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. Let's talk about Did You Know before we get you the hell out of here. A leading climate scientist believes that humanity's days are numbered, although it may not come within our lifetime, bearing some unforeseen event. The global population could begin to see a start of an inevitable decline as soon as the end of the century, argues Henry Gee, a Scientific American article. He feels that the lack of genetic variation, falling birth rates, population, and stress caused by living in overcrowded cities are a recipe for disaster, and humanity is fast approaching the point where even radical change will not be sufficient to halt the species' rapid decline. He writes, the signs are already there for those who are willing to see them. The real question is how fast. One more positive note is the weekend's coming. I mean, there you go, something to think about. That was a little rough there. That was a little rough. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over exclusively to RadioBig.fm. If you want to come and hang out and listen to some musica with me, you're more than welcome on doing that. If you need a random joke for today, I got one for you. A bore is someone who, well, when you ask him, or is he tells you. So there you go. If you need a phone starter, try this. What do you wish someone taught you a long time ago? If you need something for the water cooler, try this one. 1 in 5 of us prefer to do this chore at home while the rest of us do it elsewhere. What is it? Wash the car. So there you go. That's what's going on. Anyways, thank you for taking a listen to the Rated R Safety Show, because without you, we can't do what we do here at Safety FM or RadioBig.fm. That's for sure. So thanks for always taking a listen or a view, or however we get to wherever you're at. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. People can't drive you crazy if you don't give them the keys. Think about that. People can't get you goat if you don't tell them where the hell it's at. That's one way to look at it. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
Here is the news on the
And I'll hit the wrong button, too.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.